Hey, what's good people, man? Platinum bearded dread. Tails on the bench them. Question, man. Are you dreaming? Or are you wide awake? I was on one of my many bikes. No, tell a lie, it wasn't even then. We wind even further back when one day my child, my son, about 8 years old, out of the blue, he said to me, Daddy, what if all this is a dream? 8 years old, you know. And I was like, wow. And I paused for a second, I said, yeah, son, what if? And then it got me thinking back to a story that I read years ago. I want to kind of like give the story a retwist, you know, improvise a little bit. So don't, for those that have heard the story, don't judge me, man. But it's my own take here. So I started thinking about the whole notion of dreaming and stuff. And this is how the story goes, yeah. One day, there was this man, wise man, quiet but wise, very brave man, who spoke out against the tyranny and the oppression that the government was putting on the people. And most people were, you know, too afraid to say anything. But this particular young man, you know, didn't see himself as a hero or anything like that. But he just didn't like oppression, man. And although he was afraid of what might be the consequences, he spoke out. You know, he spoke out against this tyrannical government, you know, that was oppressing the people. And, you know, inevitably, you know how it goes, one of his own people, what's what I would use, informed on him. And he was caught and imprisoned and sentenced to death at a particular date. So, as they call it, death row. So he carried on with what, you know, whatever he'd be met with whilst inside the prison. And he got to know one of his cellmates. And this particular cellmate, you know, he wasn't a criminal-minded kind of person. He had just, you know, he had just done something out of desperation and landed himself in the same prison, not sentenced to death, but just, you know, just a slightly long sentence. And they got talking, got to know each other. But there was one thing that this other prisoner was baffled by this, you know, this recent inmate, the one that was sentenced to death. He couldn't understand why this man was always of high spirit, cheer, you know. I don't mean like, you know, hype and bop, no, but just serene and at peace, man. In his mind, he kept saying, either this man is crazy or he knows something, because how is he so at peace and so serene when he knows his days are numbered and he's going to be put to death on the electric chair? You know what I mean? It didn't make no sense. And then one day, in the quiet of this cell, he not confronted him, but he brought up the whole matter. He said, I don't understand you. He said, you've been sentenced to death, you're on death row, but yet you're so calm and happy within yourself. It don't make no sense. How is that? And then the man, the other guy, who was a wise man, smiled. And he looked at him and said, when the guards say, lights out, and switch the lights off, and it's time to sleep, I'm taken to a place of clear blue skies, sandy beaches that go on for miles, a sun so warm, penetratingly hot, but not hot to the point where, you know, it's draining you, but it's just a comforting warmth. You know, beautiful hills in the distance, calm seas, and the people, oh my gosh. It's almost as if these people are angels, because they don't understand the notion of greed or envy or cruelty. They're just loving, kind people, and it's their nature. Even the birds sing, man. And it's just a serene place that it's almost like you know, you get a snip of it when you go on holiday, but it's 100 times more than that. And then it all ends when I hear, lights on, out your cells, stand up outside your cells. Then he said to the man, why would I want to remain here when every time I go to sleep, I'm going somewhere 100 times better than this place. Furthermore, he said, are you guys the ones in hell whilst you're here, or am I in paradise whilst I'm there? And it kind of like, the inmate that he was talking to, it kind of made him scratch his head a little bit, man, because it's a little bit profound, man. Which one was in their natural state, and where would you rather be? And what the wise man was really alluding to was not necessarily a place, but he was giving the prisoner images of what many people would regard as the ideal, you know, warmth, friendly, love, all those things, which symbolized the whole idea of returning back to the source. But he had to give him a picture to work with. But again, he said, which is the reality? Is it whilst we're here in prison, or whilst I escape from this place into that place that I spoke to you about? Which is the reality? And where would you rather be? So he said, you know, so I smile because when that day comes and I have to sit in that electric chair, I'm going back to that place that I can only briefly visit permanently. And I'll be saying goodbye to all of this. And the inmate just said, wow, man. Wow. And the day inevitably came when this wise man, who'd now become a really good friend to this inmate, you know, was taken off along that long trot to the electric chair. People there watching him, you know, judging him like he'd done something wrong, when all he had done was spoke up for the oppressed, you know, but they had framed him to make him look like a criminal when he had done nothing wrong. And he was executed. But it didn't end there, because something mysterious happened that never happened before. In the media the next day, someone had leaked a photograph of this man on the chair, and he was smiling. There was not 1 ounce of pain, not 1 ounce of terror, not 1 ounce of fear. He was smiling all the way up to the very end. And it baffled all the scientists and all the, you know, it baffled them all. And this man, his story, you know, was told all over the world. But furthermore, more than that, he left a mark and an impression on the inmate. And when that inmate eventually was released from prison, he was never the same again. He began to question, which is the reality? Is it here, or when we cross over? And every time he dreamt, he felt like he was in paradise. He saw that same place that the wise one spoke about. And it made him realize more and more the importance of realizing that everything is orchestrated in such a way for a purpose. So we can make both sides, if you like, a paradise. And even when there's struggles, intense pain, it doesn't continue forever. And that inmate became a completely different person. He told everyone he knew about this wise man he met. And that inmate embodied everything that the wise man spoke about and became a vessel for that same wise man. And he affected others like the wise man had affected him. So once again, like my son said to me at 8 years old, what if all this is a dream? And the dream is actually reality. Whew. Platinum bearded dread, tales upon the bench there.